Professional White here, Yoruba Professional Foundation. I'm the public secretary of started on Thursday with sure land production on paint production. And at the next of God, after this section, we will start shortly in the next 1 week. We're going to have an exhibition during the closing ceremony. We're going to see what we have learned. We're going to produce paint and we're going to apply. We have a program we're trying to apply to paint no way. We're going to apply the paint under the what? Okay, media. Ombre. I'm professionally called Max Adele. I am the convener and president of the Yoruba Professional Foundation. And we'll be here since Thursday for the training on advanced paint production and application, powered by the Yoruba Professional Foundation and Lanomo. So we are now going to the head of the program. So next section will be on customers relation. You have been taught how to produce paint. Now you are going into the world as entrepreneurs on paint production. You want to be producing paint and you want to be selling paint to people. Now, how do you manage your customers? How do you relate with your customers? How do you turn this thing into profitability and prosperity? So, ladies and gentlemen, it is my pleasure to introduce to you the resource person on customers, relation, and business development. He is a senior lecturer at the Federal University, Gashua, Yobe State. He is also an adjunct lecturer at Mountain Top University at Arekunje in Ogun State. Also an adjunct lecturer at Christian University, Abeokuta. Also an adjunct lecturer at Governor University, Ota. He's an indigenous of the state. Precisely Logbo Ekiti in those local government areas. Please, let's go on our seat. On our seat. Dr. Pastor Mi hello. Dr. Pastor Mi he has his PhD in organizational psychology. Am I correct, sir? He's a veteran in personality development. I'm very sure your life will never remain the same after this session. Please, let's give him a hand. So he will do more introduction about himself and so, sir, you have the floor.
Thank you very much. Let's go straight to the point because of time. Customers' relations between the king and a castle. Customers' relations between the king and a castle. I want you to have a picture in your mind. While we were in primary school, there was something that we were being told. There is a type of triangle called isosceles triangle. This triangle has two sides equal. And when you draw it, it gives a shape like this. It has a very tiny tip and a very broad base. Ladies and gentlemen, I want to inform you that whether we believe it or not, in the next 10 years, the crowd here will form that isosceles triangle. Very few percentage will be at the peak, at the tip of that triangle, while the majority will be at the base of that triangle. despite the fact that you have been exposed to the same training program, even the same opportunity, the same environment, only few, like that isosceles triangle, will be at the tip of that triangle, while the remaining will be at the base of the triangle. After today's class, you decide whether you want to be at the peak of that triangle or you want to be at the base of the triangle. So let's start. What is a customer relation? I start by saying that who is a customer? A customer is that person or a company that receives or consumes or buys a product or service and can choose between different goods and suppliers. A customer is that person, is that company that receives, consumes, or buys, as in this case now, is a product. And that person or that company can choose between different goods and suppliers. It means that your success depends on your customer. It means that the height you are going to reach, despite this training you have been exposed to, depends on your customer. It means that the altitude you are going to reach from this professional training depends on your customer, not just about you alone, but your customer. That's one that determines your level of success, that determines the number of profits that you are going to make, that determines so many other things. But I want to tell you that all the three elements displayed have different roles that they play that will determine where you are going to belong to in that triangle. Remember I said you are the seller. I also talked about the product that you have been trained on. That product is the product you are seeing there. Then the buyer, your client. These three elements must work in harmony for us to achieve any tangible success. When you see a successful businessman or a successful entrepreneur, just know that that person is successful because he or she is able to have a harmony among these three elements. The seller's dilemma. Let's start from the seller. Ọ̀kẹ́rẹ́ tí yóò gún gé ọ̀gẹ̀dẹ̀, èékánná rẹ̀ yóò gún ṣáṣá. Ọ̀kẹ́rẹ́ tí yóò gún igi ọ̀gẹ̀dẹ̀, èékánná rẹ̀ yóò gún ṣáṣá. A squirrel that hopes to climb the plantain tree must have very sharp claws. Success comes not by accident, but by careful preparation and right subsequent steps. Success doesn't just happen, it is caused. May I say that as a seller, everything depends on you. As a seller, who are you? Your ability to first of all know who you are gives you an edge over others. Your ability to accurately evaluate yourself gives you a lot of edges over others. Your ability to be realistic with yourself gives you a lot of edges over others. What are your strengths? You should know it. What are your weaknesses? You should know it. Especially when you are alone in the morning. When you remove your clothes, look at yourself in the mirror. Ask yourself questions. Who am I? Be sincere to yourself. Identify who you are genuinely. That is the first step of success in life. Your ability not to exaggerate who you are. Your ability to discover accurately who you are. Your ability to weigh what your self-esteem is. Remember that naturally, personality, you are a product of so many things. The number one thing is when we talk about who you are, your personality. What is that personality? An habit, an art that you just do like this. That art will grow to become an habit. An habit will grow to become a character. Then when it is consistent over a period of time, the character will become personality. So it starts with an art, dovetail from an art to an habit. Then it grows from an habit to become a personality. When it becomes a personality, you cannot change it any longer. You can only manage it. And that is why whatsoever you don't want and you are unable to live it, it becomes you. You cannot change it. You just manage it. But I want to tell you that, let me quickly open our eyes to what make up this personality. The ingredient of the personality. Number one is hereditary. Now, in our integrated science, while we were in secondary school, we were told that whatsoever happens to you, first filial generation, it goes up to fourth filial generation before it can stop. And the Bible confirms it. And that is why the Bible says in the Yoruba Bible, Ọlọ́run owú ni mí tí ń bẹ ẹ̀ṣẹ̀ bàbá wò lára ọmọ láti ìran kìíní títí dé ìran kẹrin. That is confirmation of the fourth filial generation. It means that if this is the way I'm working and my gene dominates on my children, it goes into up to fourth generation. Fourth generation. So it means that there are some things you cannot control that are genetic, hereditary. Maybe your look, if you are very beautiful, that beauty might runs in your gene. Maybe you inherited it from your parents. So it can go up to fourth generation. Maybe you are an extrovert or introvert. You cannot change that because it's hereditary. Maybe the shape of your head or the shape of your nose, even your intelligence is also inherited. You cannot change it. If you are very, very poor at mathematics, and by the time you get married, if your gene dominates, it means that you cannot help the matter. That child will also be poor at mathematics. And not only that child, up to the fourth generation. That means that marriage determines a personality. It determines what happens to our children too. It determines so many other things. So what is hereditary cannot be changed because it is biological. It's in our gene. The gene is like a capsule that rules the affairs of our life for 4 generations. Not just about you, your children, your grandchildren, and your great-grandchildren. Hereditary is number one element in our personality. The second one is the environment where we live. If you live in Lagos, when I say Lagos, I'm not talking about Kate or Jota myself. Maybe you live Ajah, Lekki, all those ones. There is no way you not be different from those who live in Ada or Ilobu or Oshi or villages. The reason is that in those villages, morals are of highest value. But like when you see someone who live all his life in Lagos, it's formed because that environment plays a dominant role in his or her life too. It helps in his or her thinking, the kind of clothing, the fashion sense, the perception towards life, orientation and exposure, and all those stuff. Environment will dictate that. You cannot help that. What about the peers group? Peers group also plays a significant role in who we are going to become. And that is why the Yoruba says that Ajá tó bá bá àgùntàn tó bá bá ajá rìn á jẹ. You cannot change that. It's a gradual phenomenon. It comes bit by bit. Before you know what is happening, you are almost the same. So, and that is why the kind of friends and association you keep will also determine. Now, why am I saying all this is that all these things that I'm talking about, we are formed already. Everyone listening to me today, we are formed. We have a personality already. You cannot change it. We can only manage that personality. But I want to tell you that there is no good or bad personality. Now look at it. Yesterday we celebrated, up to now we are still celebrating Jesus Christ, but something happened yesterday. It was the day that one man called Judas Iscariot betrayed Jesus. And people were posting different things about Judas Iscariot, this and that. I want to tell you that he shows his own part in destiny. He has his own personality. You cannot change it. And when Jesus saw Iscariot, he knew that Judas liked money. Jesus knew from the beginning. In fact, as a matter of fact, he made him the treasurer of his disciples. And because of that, he pushed every money to him. And when one woman came, a very rich woman, that wanted to donate a jar to Jesus Christ. And that jar, very expensive jar. Jesus said, Judas told Jesus, why did you allow this woman to just waste that expensive jar? We will have sold this jar and spent and used the money on something worthwhile. Judas naturally liked money, and that was the reason why it was easier for him to betray Jesus. His personality, you cannot change it. Christianity or Islam cannot change your personality. And that was the reason why when Paul became a Christian, Paul before then was a persecutor of Christians, very violent. But I want to tell you that when Paul changed, Paul was still very violent. And that is why everything controversial in Christendom today, Paul calls it. Yes. Go and look at get married, don't get married, it was Paul. Cover your head, don't cover your head, it was Paul. Use earring, don't use earring, it was Paul. Pay tithe, don't pay tithe, it was Paul. Everything controversial was caused by Paul. Why? Because that is his personality. I just cited those two examples to let you know that you cannot change your personality, but you can use it productively. Paul stopped killing. He stopped diversifying that energy into killing and converted the energy to what? To productive use. He wrote the highest books in the Bible. Now, it means that we must be ready to utilize our personality productively. If you like money, invest that energy of liking money into what you want to do. If you are dull, some people are naturally dull, but I want to tell you they are not bad. That you are dull does not make you bad. You can be very dull, but you can be meticulous. Yes. You can be very, very dull, but you can look into details of things that somebody who is very smart and be doing something anyhow. There is no one that is not useful. His personality you cannot change. I've explained what caused that personality. You agree with me that there are some things you cannot change them. Isn't it? Yes. Now, it will be difficult for you to change where you grew up. It's late. Do you agree with me? Yes. And that is why, if I give you 200,000, I'll go to the market and shop. Those who live all their lives in Lagos will spend only 50,000 from that money, and they will buy well quality things because they know where to buy. They know what to buy. They have, they grew up in that area. But somebody who came from Ekiti and then we want to impress you. And spend all the 200,000 to buy self-esteem. They will buy the goods plus the self-esteem to meet up with the standard. I don't know if you get that. So I'm just trying to tell you that there are some things you cannot change. So the first thing you have to do is to accept who you are, as that is who I am. Even if you are dull, if people say you are dull, accept that you are dull. But you can use that dullness to make a difference in your own work. If people say you are not brilliant, accept that you are not brilliant. I want to tell you that those who are not brilliant, they are the best. Should I give you 10 examples? Let me give you 2. Bro Peter in the Bible. Peter in the Bible. Peter, the disciple of Jesus Christ, was a mere fisherman. He was the first person to receive Holy Ghost and he changed the world. Yes. A very dull man. You cannot compare a dull Peter to Dr. Luke. Luke was a medical doctor at that time. You can't compare the two of them. You can't compare Peter with Paul Apostle. Paul was a lawyer. But Peter did not go to school. He was a fisherman. But yet, Jesus used him because God liked using those people that we consider dumb. To do what? To show those of us who we consider ourselves so smart and proud. An average smart man is likely to be proud. And God doesn't like such people. And that is why God always uses something that we consider negligible, something that we consider insignificant. And that is why this electricity, the person that produced it, when you read the history of Albert Einstein, you will know that Albert Einstein had nothing, but yet what happened to him? He was able to discover himself, failed several times, and eventually today we have electricity. So it means that there are some things you cannot help, but what do? Do like that squirrel. Or carrot you You know it's not easy to climb there. I don't know if you know Ogede, because this is Lagos and there are so many Lagosians. So they connect polish yourself, build yourself. There is what is called self-esteem. It is the way you thought others weigh you. The way that you thought others weigh you. And that is why if you are traveling and something happens to your clothes on the road, and maybe your clothes tore, do you know it can change the whole thing for you? It can change your self-esteem. You will just be conscious that the fact that, or maybe you did not brush in the morning. And by the time you are leaving the house, you now remember I did not brush. And maybe your husband or your wife had told you that when you wanted to kiss you, that your mouth used to smell. Make sure you always brush. That thing that your spouse told you will come and haunt you at that moment. Or maybe that your teacher or your friend will come. And when that thing comes, you will just be controlled. In fact, you might be closing your mouth. Where you're supposed to talk, you not talk. But I want to tell you, whether we like it or not, it is a subconscious effort we do. We evaluate ourselves in respect of what other people say about us. We do it a lot. Everybody that God created does it because it is what gives us energy to move on. So, I want to tell you this. Kindly in your evaluation be sincere and consider yourself that this is who I am and be original. When you are original, you have conquered the world. When you are original, there is nothing that anybody is doing that will freak you. There will be healthy competition between you and others. You will not be destructive. You will love others. Be evaluative at all times. Just know that, okay, this is me. I am Samuel. I am Fasami. This is what I have. Don't exaggerate. If you are able to weigh yourself accurately, that is the first step. And I also tell you that one of the things you need to do as a seller is to polish yourself. Polish yourself in terms of dressing. Polish yourself in terms of your grammar. In as much as English is a lingua franca, whether we like it or not, it will be a factor. Because you will have to go and make presentation. You might have to go to a company and present your product. I want to tell you that whatsoever you want to do, that you cannot do it yourself, that you rely on others to do 50% for you, the chances that you are going to succeed is very slim. And that is what gives Obasanjo an edge over other presidents that Nigeria has ever produced. Obasanjo is smart, brilliant, intelligent, and he does his job by himself. The challenge we have today with our leadership is that the leadership is very weak because he cannot do those things by himself. He might not be a bad person, he might have a very good intention, but when you second everything to people to do for you, there will be a problem. So the first thing you need to do is that you can start reading. Despite the fact that we consider that it is not true. Because you are not going to be selling to Yoruba people. In fact, if you are selling to Yoruba, some Yoruba will not even speak Yoruba at all. They will weigh you, they will evaluate you by your education, not even education, by your presentation. You know, if you get that. So please, and if you want to make money, remember that you cannot be selling to individuals. You sell to companies too. If you want to sell to companies, you go and make presentation. I want to tell you, you can be very, very sound grammatically. It takes you only 1 month to do that. Get Daily Ashade textbook, get A to Z, and read it. That will change your fortune. Communication is key. You must be able to have a very good communication. What about honesty about yourself? Be honest. Everything about you. In any book, in any of our holy books, where someone who was almost the richest person in the history of the world, it wasn't a sudden wealth. It grew and he worked and he was a king. And remember in those days, when you are a king, they pay royalties to listen to you. But I want to tell you that if someone tells you that, okay, based on what you have learned, you have become a millionaire, it is not true. It is not true. You must pass through various stages. You pass through storm. You are going to face so many challenges. But I want to tell you, when you have passed through all these, those things will build you, and eventually you are going to succeed. Inside fire, what happens to the wood? The wood will burn and become ashes almost immediately. When you throw gold inside fire, what happens to it? The more the fire, the better the gold. There is what is called blast furnace. When you are trying to refine crude oil, you discover that there will be distillation. The last one, but what it remains will be the best. So it means that the more, the more stuff that you face, most likely the better you are going to come out of it. That's why I said and you will pass through those things, but do not be deterred. those who are able to withdraw, definitely. Now, the debtor, who is the seller? You are the seller. I think you know. So now, when yourself up, before you can venture in, I just explained them that you have to accept who you are, you have to manage your personality, you have to build yourself, you have to improve on your communication, you have to polish yourself, especially your dressing and relationship with people, you have to build honesty, and so on and so forth. But the lady can also be dating someone in that organization. Something will happen that some people will know. Maintain integrity at all times. When you do that, it boosts the image of your company because you are the company. Recently, someone in Lagos wanted to become the president of Nigeria 2020. Everybody knows it. And something was said about his age. Some said he's 69. Some said it's about this. So one thing about Obafemi Awolowo, the late said, was that everything about him, we knew it. And everybody, if you wake up, Awolowo was so yeah, so everything should be played. Because those things will still come back to haunt that person. Why? Because you are the company. You are the company. You can't change it. And that is why you must maintain what brings glory to your company. Seller's dilemma. Making fortune with your service. That is service now. We have moved from seller to what now to service. I mean your products now. In this case, you are not selling service, but you are selling products. Ladies and gentlemen, let your product be real. Let your product be real. I want to beg you again. Let your product be real. Today, the Igbos in Nigeria will have been the best in the whole world. But for one thing that we know them from, what is that thing? Fake. In fact, as a matter of fact, they are the fake. When you even see an average Igbo person dealing with you, you will assume that the person is fake. The fake has gone to that extent. I don't know if you think that happens. When you're having a dealing with someone who is an Igbo, you are likely to be thinking that this person is likely to be fake. Because why? We just believe that whatsoever that they produce is fake. And that might not be true. But because most of the products coming from their own end is always fake. Yesterday I bought bottled water where bottle popped. When I tasted that water, I knew it was a fake water. Because a popped bottled water should not even have a taste. But that won't have taste. So now you can see the problem with a fake product. Please, let your product be real. Let me tell you this, you will always have an opportunity to produce fake products, especially to make money. And that opportunity will present itself as, if you do this, you have eat it for life. I want to tell you, that wealth will not last. It won't last. There is a law of wealth. And that's why if you read the book of Jeremiah very well, the book of Jeremiah 17 says that, only be a parrot, ṣe ń sápò lórí ẹni tí kò yé, bẹ́ẹ̀ gẹ́gẹ́ ni ẹni tí ó kó ọrọ̀ jọ, ṣùgbọ́n tí kì í ṣe ní òdodo, yóò fi sílẹ̀ ní agbede méje ọjọ́ ayé rẹ̀, àti ní òpin rẹ̀ á jẹ́ aṣiwèrè. It's a law of nature. Try it. I'm very sure that all of us must have been exposed at one stage or the other in our life to such an opportunity that we present and say, owó ni, let me make this money. Look at, go and roll back and think of what you did with that money. You will know that what you did with that money will give you problem. Think about it. Whatsoever that is not real, is not real. That thing will give you a problem. And that is why God himself is using everything that he created to speak to us, but we don't listen. Look at any animal that you see. We have what is called a bile. Do you notice that? There will be a bile. Very, very small bile. You see it there. And the bile is always close to the liver. And liver is very sweet. You have an option of even throwing that bile, even with the liver, and just for you which a bed door to let it go. But some people will not let it go. Wọ́n á gé kìíní yẹn, wọ́n á máa gé ẹ̀dọ̀ ní báyìí. to just get that bile out. You know, at the end of the day, when that thing breaks into your meat, what happens? You're not able to eat it. Please, let your product be real. If you are producing paint, please write the correct content of what you are producing there. If the content says that, okay, this one, I don't know what you have been taught, maybe this is the chemical you use. Maybe that chemical, if you add that chemical, it will be better quality. Write it there that this is my own quality. Don't lie.